Hello, Socialite! Let's talk about the perfect handshake. It's an art form, really. It takes just a few seconds, but darling, it can totally define a first impression. So let's get a grip on what makes it work, shall we? You know, it's pretty wild to think that this all started as a way to show you weren't hiding a weapon. Obviously today it's less about daggers and more about making a connection, but it's still that very first moment of physical contact. And trust me, it says a lot. And here's where it gets really cool, the science behind it. A really good handshake actually makes your brain release a chemical called oxytocin. They call it the trust hormone. It's the same stuff that helps mothers and babies bond. So yes, a handshake isn't just some empty gesture. It's a legit chemical event that can kickstart trust. So here's our game plan. We're going to dive into why handshakes matter so much. Then we'll talk about something called the peach squeeze. It's awesome. After that, we'll nail down the mechanics, go over the most common mistakes, and I'll leave you with one last pro tip to tie it all together. Okay, first up, let's really get into the science of that first impression, and why this simple physical act creates such a powerful chemical. So here's the bottom line. The quality of your handshake is directly linked to that oxytocin release. A good, solid handshake. It floods the brain with that trust hormone, and bam, you've got an instant connection. But a bad one, a limp, awkward one. You get little to no oxytocin, you just wasted a golden opportunity to build rapport. The stakes are actually pretty high. So the big question is, how do you get that pressure just right? This brings us to probably the most important thing you'll learn today. I call it the peach squeeze. And I promise once you hear this, you will never ever forget it. And this is the idea right here. Picture it. You squeeze a peach just enough to feel if it's ripe, right? You're looking for just a little resistance. If you squeeze too hard, you bruise the fruit too soft and you don't learn anything. Well, that is the exact pressure for a handshake squeeze, just until you feel a tiny bit of pushback from their palm. So think about it. What does your handshake's pressure signal? Squeezing way too hard. It kind of screams that you're overcompensating for something way too weak. Well, it suggests you're not confident or engaged, but that just right peach squeeze that signals pure balanced confidence. Okay, now that we've got the pressure figured out, let's break down the actual technique. There are really only 3 key elements you need from mechanically perfect handshake. First, you offer your right hand with your palm facing inwards. That's pretty standard. Second, and this is the real secret sauce for a solid connection, you want to aim web to web. That's the little space between your thumb and index finger. And third, absolutely non-negotiable. You have to make eye contact. It shows you're present and you're engaged. And this is what we're aiming for. See that? Look how the webs of the hands meet perfectly. The fingers are wrapped all the way around firmly, but not, crushingly. That right there is a picture of confidence and mutual respect. Now, how long do you hold that eye contact? It can feel a little awkward. Can it? So here's a fantastic little trick. Just hold it long enough to notice the color of the other person's eyes. That little moment ensures the contact is long enough to build a real connection, but not so long that it feels like a stare down. Knowing what to do is really only half the battle. So now let's lock in what we've learned by looking at the most common handshake mistakes you really need to avoid. Oh, the dreaded limp lettuce. We've all felt this one. It's when the webs don't connect and you just end up shaking their fingers. It signals a total lack of confidence and engagement. It's probably one of the worst handshake mistakes you can make. Next up, the double clasp. This is when the left hand comes over the top. Now with a good friend, this can feel warm, but in a professional setting, it's often seen as a subtle power play, like you're trying to be dominant or even a little patronizing. Best to just keep that left hand at your side. Now this one is subtle, but it happens all the time. Make sure your index finger doesn't stay straight, and point down the other person's wrist. It just kind of breaks the connection. You want all your fingers to wrap naturally right around their hand. And here are a few more quick fire mistakes to avoid. Don't shake hands across a desk or some other barrier. Always walk around it. Always stand up when you shake hands, and in a professional setting, for goodness sake, take your gloves off. It's just a sign of respect. Alright, so we've covered the science, the technique, and the things to avoid, but I've got one final tip for you that will take your handshake from just being good to being truly great. And what's so fascinating about this is that this secret has absolutely nothing to do with how you squeeze or where you put your fingers. It's all about what you do in that split second before your hands even touch. The secret is one simple, powerful action. In that moment, right before you connect, you just stop. Seriously, that's it. When you're walking up to someone, physically plant your feet and stop moving before you extend your hand. This tiny pause does something incredible. It changes the whole interaction from a rushed, mindless motion into a calm, focused, and deliberate gesture. It sends a message. I am here and I am focused on you. It is a subtle but absolute game changer. So remember, in those first few seconds of meeting someone, your handshake is your opening statement. It says so much before you even say a single word. So the only question left is, what do you want yours to say about you?